A good question leads to a better answer, and a great question leads people to reveal more than they expected 98% of the time. And if you are wondering why it is 98%, it is because I have in fact interviewed Bill Belichick and Marshawn Lynch. If you are sports fans, you know that they are notoriously short talkers, and it really doesn't matter what the question is. Their answer was always going to be what it was going to be. So I left some leeway in there, a little bit of latitude. But in general, in my 20 years in sports, I know that if you ask a good question, you are going to prompt a good answer. And it's important because the pressure is on for me. So here's what's different about me as a sports broadcaster asking questions from most of the scenarios that you might encounter on a regular basis. Number one, I don't have a whole lot of time with these guys. If you were to count the questions that I asked during a walk-off interview, which doesn't really happen these days because of COVID, but in more normal circumstances, I get 3 questions. When I'm in a locker room and I'm doing a pre or a post-game interview, those could be 5 or 6 questions. But if you're trying to get somebody to tell you the story of the game, that's really not a lot of questions to ask. So I'm on a time deadline. I'm making sure that I am getting all of my audiences on the same page and engaged. And for me, the audience is you, the audience at home. It's my bosses who are watching, and it's the athlete. I need to make sure that I am keeping all of those responsibilities in mind. Nobody wants to be put in a bad spot, particularly on live TV or radio. And these athletes need to understand and trust that I am not going to make them look bad or give them a question that makes them sound stupid or puts them in a tough spot. That's a pretty good way to ruin a relationship and a pretty good way to ensure that they will never answer any of my questions ever again. In addition to all of those things that I'm thinking about, my questions are part of the story. They don't get edited out. So I better be spot on in my 3 questions or my 5 questions because the audience is going to hear everything that I say. So of course, I don't want to sound stupid on live TV and radio. And there's a little bit of an entertainment factor there because I need to be compelling enough so that the audiences, whether it's the audience at home or the athlete, is listening.